What's going on? Welcome back to the Mist podcast. I'm your host, Arrow Mist. Today, we're going to be talking about something that someone actually put into my DMs. If you guys have anything you want me to talk about specifically, you're more than welcome to send it to me on pretty much any platform. I love taking suggestions. Most of the time, I can reformat any blanketed suggestion into something I can use. So, go for it. This person said, "What can I do to help my stress, anxiety, depression, etc. before taking any medication?" So, first, we need to understand that everything in the pharmaceutical line of things was changed to petroleum-based medication in the 50s. So technically, you're already taking a substance that is not designed to actually help you. You're taking something that is inherently already going to destroy you. And, you could say that the process of chemical imbalances and whatever else, but I mean, to be completely fair, as we've understood more and more with how the mind functions, is that even if you're going to take something, and I would honestly call an antidepressant more of a placebo than anything else. And by placebo, we mean that you are in this, there is an entire study on this. This is going to be a topic in an entire video. There's been multiple studies on the placebo effect of even with antidepressants specifically, of people getting in a control group. One portion of the group doesn't actually take the real drug. The other portion of the people do take the drug. And when they did that, in the placebo effect, the people that actually didn't take the real one and took the placebo had better long-term and short-term effects than the people that actually took the antidepressant. So when we're talking about medication is supposed to be some form of solution, but modern pharmacology, everything that you can go get within big pharma is not going to give you what you're looking for as a long-term or short-term solution. And just from these studies that anybody can go look at, this is already an inherent fact. It used to be somewhat of a subjective opinion, but as more psychedelic research and other things have started to really take people through, the healing that any person is going to want to find is going to probably not be through pharmaceutical medication if you're thinking about what's going on here. Because what's going on here is an entire process of a lack of emotional intelligence, a lack of understanding how to care for yourself in general, because most people are just not taught how to do that. And 3, what other things are affecting your mind in general, right? Because when you want to solve a problem, and if you actually want to think about substances first, let's just dive into that since we're still on the medication part of it before we start getting a little outside of that. Now, you are everything you intake, and you are everything you have ever intaken. This goes from what you eat, what you watch, what you listen to, what you've observed, what you've witnessed, how you've taken all those things. Everything that you have ever experienced is all you've ever known. Every bout of information, everything about your existence is only what you've ever known. And so you are only the product now at this current moment of everything that you've ever seen. And so this goes for emotions. So if you felt different emotions and other things like that, well, it's like, well, what influences me? Everything you've ever intaken is the first part of your influence. So it's like not necessarily just to your past, but to your right now, right? Think about what you talk about, why you talk about it, how you talk about it, what you eat, what you think about. And the unironic thing is that almost all of these are choices. We can choose to change the things that we eat if we understand what we're eating is affecting us negatively. If you eat meat, then you're probably going to have anxiety. You're probably going to be living in fear. You're probably going to be depressed and wanting to not be here because you're eating something that you're eating death. You're literally eating death. Just there's no way around that. If you're eating breads, you're probably still going to be anxious because you're eating something that is clogging your body up, the glucosamine in that. And so then what's happening? If your body is clogged, how is your body going to let yourself be able to let go of things that are bad for you and then start holding on to things good for you if your body is still holding on to its trauma, right? If you have any amount of fat on your body, then you probably are actually just holding on to trauma. That is stored energy. That energy has water. Water itself has memory, and you have all of these things in your body that is remembering what's happening. That's a part of your intake. So if you want to be able to start getting to things that have nothing to do with medication, then change your food, cleanse your body. Notice a difference in what happens when you do or don't eat certain things. And if you find it hard to break off of doing certain things, and that's probably a sign to tell that you're probably addicted to the things that you've been eating. You might be addicted to the emotions you've been feeling. People, you have to realize that everything is a choice. You may feel enslaved to it, and I understand that, but when you also sit there and realize, whoa, I'm a human, which means that if I can feel sad, I can feel happy. If I can feel all these other bad things, and I can feel all these good things, I just haven't practiced, right? Emotional intelligence. I haven't practiced all these good emotions, all these good thoughts. I haven't practiced all these other things. I've only lived in the practice of what I've been given and didn't realize that I could practice something different. And what you practice is what you are and what your existence is. So if you want to begin to frame that differently, it's like, well, what do you want? Aside from everything else, I mean, that's just my first question to you. Ask yourself, what do I want? Because if I want to feel happy, well, happiness is a choice. You can practice being happy, right? You could sit there and you could just, even if you don't understand how that feels fully, if you want to be happy, then you have to sit there and you ask, okay, well, what makes me happy? What makes, what makes me feel certain things? And is this or that, like, how are things affecting me? And then this is still the frame of evaluating everything that you intake, right? How does eating my food affect me? Is it making me more emotional? And is in those emotions, it's making me more negatively emotional because of what's happening with the food? Is it because it's because of the energy the food has, and then I'm processing that energy, and then I don't even realize that I'm being emotional about what I just ate, and then that's right. So it's not being ignorant or being blind to what is already affecting you. Everything affects you. Everything. Maybe you need to take a detox from all the things in your existence. And I will put it right now, any single person that's watching this, if you feel like you're stuck or you feel like you're dealing with anything that impacts the mind negatively, then it's probably because you are, one, not emotionally educated about how your emotions work. So you need to understand how you work, what emotions you can have that aren't just bad things. Understand everything that you can have, because it's not like, oh, I feel bad, I only can have this and that's my cake and I'm going to eat it. It's realizing you can go to the bakery and get fucking any cake you want. Like literally any single cake that you desire. And that's the cake that you can eat for the rest of your life. But that is a choice. It is your decision. And so if you feel addictively inclined to feel like self-deprecation is the most profitable energy spend for your mind, right? Anytime you do something or spending and putting energy into something, and if you feel like that's the best thing to put your energy to, then regardless of how much it might make you suffer, you're enjoying the suffering just as much as you hate it. And so then once again, ask yourself the question, is that what I really want? Did I really want to feel like that? And if I don't suffer, then what does it look like to not suffer anymore? What does someone that doesn't suffer feel? Right? You start going down this long line of asking a question that you can even find the answer to. And there's just no excuses anymore. Like with having the internet, you can figure out how you work biologically. So it's like you and any person will feel like a slave when you're not educated. When you don't know, when you're not educated at all, you're going to feel like a slave. That's how every single person on this planet is, because they don't know any better. And when you don't know any better, then you only live by what you think is correct. And when you only live by what you think is correct, then you're living a world that you can feel enslaved to because you don't even know how to change it. And once again, if you understand all these emotions, well, what is being anxious? What's anxiety? That's fear. You're afraid of something. Why am I afraid? What the hell do I have to be scared of? And then if you can't reassure yourself logically in the same motion, then you have to ask yourself another question. Am I rationally or irrationally being afraid, right? Is this something that stems from my childhood because I never conquered something in my existence? Is this stemming from my food once again and I need to cut that out and I need to figure out if that's actually it? Play yourself a little bit like an experiment so you can figure that out. If you want something to change, you will change it. You will. And sometimes it may be difficult to figure out exactly how to make those changes as effective as possible. But the thing is it's going to be trial and error. You're a human and no one fully understands you like you do. So if you don't do the due diligence on cutting the food out, bringing it back in, observing the difference. And if you don't see the proof in front of your own eyes, nobody on this planet can sit here and tell you what's actually the best for you. If we want to scaffold this a little bit, we could talk about like ADHD, for instance. Your attention is just like a chemical wiring inside of your brain. And so if you've never given yourself the opportunity to reset your attention, meaning you do a lot of dopamine filled things in your existence, or you take Adderall, or you do things that make you feel like you're enslaved to only having to do that, you're already placeboing yourself out with all these other things instead of being like, okay, if I want to learn to focus, then I need to know that focusing is also technically a learned skill, and I need to sit here and know how I can learn to focus. Is it because I feel too distracted by all these other things and I live a distractful life? Okay, if you don't want to be distracted in your life, then stop indulging yourself in distractions. You're addicted to being distracted, which is still giving you some chemical pleasuring. So think about all of your stimulations, and are your stimulations accommodating your energy effectively to let you feel, think, and be what you want to be? And if it's not, then you have to put the work in to help yourself. That's getting a little bit too bright back there. And if you don't put that work in to figure that out, well, no one's going to have an all-in-one answer for you, because it might be that you're dealing with anxiety from the past, you're dealing with the feelings of death because of your food, and all these other, you just have a whole tale of where all these other things stem from. And the whole point is that if you don't pick and pry out those in your life and handle every little part of it, there's never going to be an answer for you. There's not. And that's why, unless you start asking the right questions about your experience and your existence, then you're not going to find the answers anyway, because nobody has them for you. You know you best. You will learn more about you the best, but you have to be willing to let yourself grow and evolve in that way, so you can find out what the hell gets you closer to that happiness, what gets you closer to that peace, what gets you closer to wherever you want to exist at. And you can say that you are all these things, but that's still you dignifying something that you chose to say you are, because you can be any damn thing at any time in your existence. If I want to stop feeling this way, then I can start saying, no, I'm not this, I'm that, because I'm not worthless, because I started to see my worth. Right? And I understand how valuable I am, and what everything I bring to the table is, and how valuable that stuff isn't. Right? You see where this goes? But what changed? The only difference was that you finally started learning and understanding what being valuable and what value actually is, instead of what people taught you or told you it was, or what you thought that it might be. And if you never found a concrete answer, then you're still living off of somebody else's ideas. If you don't want to live out of somebody else's world that can include all these negative based things, then you have to stop living out of that, and you have to build your own. You have to live in your own. You have to feel, experience, understand your own world, build it frame by frame, truth by truth, understanding by understanding. And because those understandings are things that never leave you. You think that you understand the things you know right now and think you can't know anything else, and that's just not even factual. Because you are able to learn anything. You could go most people can go learn how to drive a car. And that's a skill. If you can go learn that, then you can learn emotions. You can learn emotional intelligence. You can learn about your biology, how you work, how you function. You're going to be in this body for who knows how many more years or whatever from whoever is seeing this. So what does that mean? That means that you, sitting right here listening, if you don't understand how you work, then you're not helping yourself. And you don't have to help yourself. But if you don't help yourself, the system is only going to feed you more shit, so that you become a product, because that's what they want. And let's just paint that as the real big difference. If you don't take it into your hands, if you don't realize that it's in your hands, then everything else in this world will try to put it in their hands, because in their hands, you're a piece of their profit. And yes, that's medication. That doctor that prescribes it to you, knowing that those medications are hardly going to be shit for you, regardless of what they're going to sit here and tell you. They make that paycheck off that shit. Every part of it. In most states, it's illegal to kill yourself. And so if you attempt to do it, you become a property of the state. I still have debt to a hospital because I wanted to do that to myself at one point in the past. And I had to pay $600 for a ride in an ambulance. And then I had to pay, so tell me how it makes sense that you're going to charge me for not wanting to be a part of the society that y'all facilitate. Right? So just make it make sense, bro. And so if all these motherfuckers out here are not here to help you, they're here for their money. And now yes, some of the individual people's agendas may be because they want to help you, but they don't know how to help you because they are educated by an entire industry that ultimately at the top of it doesn't want you to be healthy. Because if they wanted you to be healthy, then they wouldn't be giving you pills. They would give you solutions. They would literally tell you what's going on with these other parts of your existence. Instead, they're like, here, take this pill, take this, take that, do this, right? Some people explain also that you should go like start exercising and all these other things and that's almost just as impractical because like no one's ever telling you why. No one's telling you why this pill's supposed to be good for you. Oh, because you're feeling this and like, no, you're a natural chemical being with a homeostasis. And if you feel all these dreaded emotions outside of your natural, then you're out of homeostasis. There's something in your existence that has nothing to do with taking a brand new medication. And the medicine that's already floating inside of your head is a part of the problem. Why? How do we know this? Your brain literally has the power to do all the things that medication does for you. Like, numbing you to cut off the feeling of something, right? Like that literally is something your brain can do. Feeding you a specific chemical whenever you're feeling a specific type of way. Oh, it's almost like when I feel angry, I feel adrenaline. And every time you feel an emotion, there's a chemical reaction in your brain. So almost as if sitting here telling me that you can't be addicted to your emotions is also once again lying to yourself. Don't just the truth is right in front of you. It's pretty simple. I say simple, but the only thing that makes it complicated is that if you're willing to chase what you really want. And if you don't want to do that, then, sounds like you might need to ask me a question in the DMs. But if there's just like this long entrailed line of all these other things that you see and feel that you want to accommodatively change in your existence, but you do nothing about them, even if it's trying to figure out how you just seclude yourself away from everything that stimulates you in general, even being social, conversations, going to work, shit, take your one fucking day to sit there with yourself and just, this is my me day, this is my me time, and by me, I am going to figure out my existence because nobody else is going to give me the fucking true concrete cord answers to everything that I need to understand because your wants may have a different type of predication. Your happiness could be a different definition than what my happiness is, right? So I'm just trying to sit here and give you a valleyed road that you can lay bricks on. But I don't know where that road is specifically going to lead and how far and how deep it's going to run for you. Only you can create that. And that's something that no system will ever sit here and tell you because if they gave you emotional intelligence, then why would you ever have to go back to a therapist? I don't need to talk to somebody about my anything when I know how I feel and I know why I feel how I feel. I don't need somebody, right? It's just literally understanding the true point of not wasting my own time. And most of what's out there is trying to waste your fucking time because the less mindful you are, the more profitable you become as an entire entity that exists. So breaking the frame on how you're going to initiate yourself along this entire sporadication of your existence is extremely important. If you truly are seeking to not feel something that you have felt or are feeling still to this day, and I can tell you fully as someone that has climbed that ladder, overcame, came out, conquered, even felt some of that shit again as of late, and still having to repurpose myself back into that whole frame of mind of, this is my choice. Do I want to feel like this? Why do I feel like this? How do I want to feel? And I already knew my answers, and that's what took me so quickly back into the place that I know that I want to be at, and not into some place that I just don't really have any beneficial part to exist in, because there's nothing beneficial about it. Are you helping yourself or are you hurting yourself? Because if you're not helping yourself, no one can help you. Nothing will help you. It doesn't matter what medication it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter who it is. It starts and ends with you, and that is the whole factual truth of it all. And so if you want your results, you want your growth, your evolution, your change, your reality to be something, you want your answers, you want your truth, you want your foundation, you want whatever the hell it is that you want, then you got to fight for it, you got to chase it, you have to sit there and make it your priority, because everything else in this other material part world is completely secondary and it's not shit compared to pinnacleizing yourself for yourself and everything else can come after. And I think that's just part of what we forget is that, oh, I can't go do this because, well, you set the parameters. You said you couldn't do something, but you could. Nobody said you couldn't do a damn thing. Regardless of any type of exception, you are the only exception that is making those parameters. So once again, if you want to break your existence, then you have to stop living as if everything that you know is only truth. That everything that you feel is the only feelings you can have. That whatever. So to see and understand all of this is to know that there are so many mediums that you can do to guide yourself through this. It can be asking questions, only those things I've talked about, but it can also be, now this, I'm not fully recommending anything to anybody here per se. And by recommending anything to anybody, I mean, I do not encourage the solicitation of substances that are not legal, whatever. But for my personal experience, and this is how I have personally experienced and seen other people get some of their results, has been through psychedelics. Psilocybin and mushrooms specifically have a very good record history of helping people, and we even have plenty of research behind it. So more than anything, before you ever try any type of substance, no matter what it is, I don't control any single person on this planet, and I never will. But before you take or induce anything ever, whether you're taking it to hurt you or help you, but the point is, understand what it is. Chemically understand what it is. Understand how it functions in your body, and just get a grip on it. If you're going to go down the road of psychedelics, understand all these different ones. The only one that I would never, ever say that someone should try or do ever is acid, LSD. I just don't recommend it. Although I've heard some people have some pretty cool stories behind it. Everyone's brain works so differently. Every substance is different, whatever. Remember, I don't make, and I'm not recommending anything specifically. All I am recommending is that you do your research before you intake anything. And this is even for pharmaceuticals. Go learn what's in the pill. If you won't learn about yourself, then you're probably not going to learn what's inside of the things that you're taking. And if you aren't going to go that deep, then you're still going to be a slave. If you don't want to be a slave, then you have to educate yourself. The only difference between getting where you want to be and where you are right now is your education. Period. That's on every single part of your existence. So if you want it to change, then you have to understand what's in front of you, why it's doing things, what it's doing, whatever. And all of it's out there. I've had a very wonderful journey, not just through psilocybin, but also through changing my food. I used to be 400 pounds. I used to feel all of these very deep-lined ways. I didn't want to be here, anxious, all that kind of stuff. And I've had my overcoming story. It took me about a year and a half, 2 years to fully get my transition out. And I understood why and what was affecting me, why I even at all, if I'm going to get upset today, am upset for any reason. And those reasons are only for current event-based things, and they're realistic, and it's right. And so you can still have all your emotions too. They don't all have to disappear. It's not like a happy life means that you're only going to be happy, but it also does come down to what you do with yourself, what you do when you have these times that might be a very emotion filled, or they might be very hard or difficult or whatever it is. And it's just like the stasis of you being able to exist emotionally can be completely different from how the world is around you, because you can sit there and still be peaceful and still be good, while it seems like some other things are kind of falling around. But once again, if you're mindful enough to know where you're already at that point, even if some things are happening, then you're probably going to be able to fully construct and reconstruct your reality in a way that still is valuable and helpful to you rather than hurtful. Ask yourself how your brain is structured. Am I hurting myself or helping myself? And every time that you do anything in your existence, you have to ask the same question. Is that hurting me or is that helping me? Is that conversation hurting or helping me? Is that job hurting or helping me? What is going on? And if you do not wish to understand, then it will only control you. Do not be controlled. Do you understand? I hope so. I believe in every single one of you. You're humans. You have energy. You have all the energy that you need to be able to sit here. You have the mind capacity to sit here and do whatever the hell you need to and want to for yourself. So chase what you desire, even if it's the simple things like happiness and peace. If it's just, I just want to not even be rich, I just want to be able to be well enough to never worry about my bills, whatever it is, chase it and make it your reality. And if you aren't there yet, then understand what you need to know to live in that world, because the person you idealize, that person is going to know, understand, do, eat, feel, and think a specific type of way garnished on top of the way you already are now. And so you need to ask yourself what that person is, who that person is, and how that person is, so you can start getting into that frame of that person. Because then now you realize, oh, I can be whoever the hell I fucking wanted to be at any given point in my existence. All it literally took was me realizing that I am the expansiveness of my own humanity. And I can humanely be whatever, whenever, however, to whoever at any given point in my existence. So don't give up. There are plenty of answers, but everything takes time. Those microdose sessions that I did, and I will talk about this in a different one, they take time. 6 months minimum. Took me really a full year to completely wash out most of it. And even, I think, a year and a half before I felt like I was completely free from whatever was still on my body that my body was holding on to from like an energy and a fat type of wise. Because that stuff really does and can affect you for a while if you're not shedding your trauma out. And if you don't have a lot to shed off your body, then it can be so many other things that have nothing to do with that. So, right, we don't write anything out, but we have to evaluate, we have to look, we have to be conscious. And if we're not going to be conscious, then we will be lost by all the unconscious things that want to continue to take our energy. So take your energy back, realize that you're powerful, put it in your hands, and do some dope shit. And have a good time. You're only here for so long. You're only in this body for so many years. And to go farther than that, that's everyone's own prerogative, whatever you think, reincarnation or whatever the hell else. Not the point. The real point is that while you're in this experience of this body, you are here to experience. So frame it however the hell is realistic for you. My DMs are always open for any reason, even if it's private talk. Thank you for listening. I will catch you guys on the next one.